So this is the last section of the Regulus story. You may or may not be pleased to know that. Pliny, remember it's a letter, so Pliny's writing to his friend Calvisius. He's finished his story about Verania and has left it with his suggestion that Regulus is calling down the gods on his own son on a regular basis, and he changes his approach now and concentrates on a second story about Regulus concerning a chap called Velleius Blaesus. We don't know very much about him. He was a senator and a consul, as I've put in the notes, and you can see that on the screen, in the second half of the 1st century AD, but that's about all we know. So this story is based on him. It's very short. It's only this paragraph. As I say, this is the end. So let's just jump in, shall we? And he says, Velleius Blaesus, ille dives consularis, novissima valetudine conflictabatur. So Velleius Blaesus is the subject, Velleius Blaesus, and then a description of him, ille dives consularis, so ille, that, from illa illud, that dives, it's a word which you don't need to know, but it means rich, not to be confused with the word divus, which means divine, but again, that's not one you're likely to see either, but often people do think it means divine. So ille dives, that rich, and then consularis is an adjective from the word consul, which means a consul. So consularis is a man of consular rank. So ille dives consularis, that rich man of consular rank. Anyway, so he's your subject, Velleius Blaesus, that rich man of consular rank. Novissima valetudine conflictabatur. So we'll jump straight to the verb at the end, conflictabatur. Was afflicted. You can see it's passive with that tur ending on it. It is imperfect as well, but that's a little bit more difficult to reflect in English. You don't really say was being afflicted. So was afflicted. And then both the other words are in the ablative following on from that. Novissima valetudine. By an illness, valetudine, and the illness is described as novissima. Novus is a word that you do know. It means new or novel, and novissima is obviously in the superlative form, so a most new, a most novel. But when it's used of illnesses, it really means sort of extreme. I think I've suggested terminal in the vocabulary to go with it. Yeah, extreme or terminal. So he was afflicted by by an extreme illness or by a terminal illness, i.e. the man is going to die. So Velleius Blaesus, that rich man of consular rank, was afflicted by a terminal illness. So he's exactly the sort of person that Regulus is going to try and get in with to try and gain some more money from his will. We get a little short sentence about his actions now. Cupiebat mutare testamentum. Cupiebat, he wanted, he desired. That is in your GCSE list, so you should know that, I hope. But if you don't, just think of Cupid and desire. So he wanted, he desired. Again, it's imperfect, but it's difficult in English. You don't really talk about was wanting, was desiring. So just wanted or desired is fine. He desired, mutare is the infinitive, to change, and then testamentum, a word we've had before in this passage, in this story rather, is a will, as in a last will and testament. So he desired to change his will. That's the moment that Regulus is going to strike, really. Regulus, qui sperabat aliquid ex novo testamento, quia nuper captare eum coeperat, medicos hortari et rogare. I'm going to pause there because it's going to move into an ut clause, and there's quite a lot there already. So Regulus is the subject, and then this relative clause describing him, qui, Regulus qui. So Regulus who, sperabat, was hoping, or was expecting, sometimes actually is a reasonable way of translating it, but I'm going to translate it was hoping, and it's got a direct object in the form of this aliquid. So was hoping for something. Ex novo testamento, from the new will. So Regulus who was hoping for something from the new will. Quia is not a word which you will have come across before, but it has a variety of different meanings, but here it means because. So Regulus, who was hoping for something ex novo testamento from the new will, quia, because nuper captare eum coeperat. Because nuper, it means recently, so you can take that before the verb if you want to, but you're going to need to jump to the verb now. Because he coeperat, he had begun, again that's in the GCSE list, so that's a word you should know. Because he had begun recently, or because he recently had begun, captare, not quite what you would expect here. It means to court or to cultivate somebody. Obviously, it's got overtones of capturing them. So because he had recently begun to cultivate him, and when we talk about cultivate, it means that sense of getting to know him, getting on his good side, those things that Regulus is going to have to do in order to get money given to him by people. So because recently he had begun to cultivate him, medicos hortari. Now, hortari is an unusual form. It's what's known as... I'll try that again. It's what's known as a historic infinitive. So it's a deponent verb, so the infinitives end in I. So hortari looks like it should mean to encourage. So, but here it's functioning as a main verb. We've seen contracted verbs as well, I think, before. Anyway, the use of the infinitive here allows Pliny to create slightly more pace in the passage. So, medicos hortari means he encouraged the doctors. Medicos is obviously in the accusative. Et rogare, exactly the same principle. It looks like an infinitive, and it is, but you need to take it as the verb. And he asked them, the doctors understood, ut, and that's why you've got your ut here. He asked them to. So he encouraged the doctors and asked them to. Ut quoquo modo vitam hominis prorogarent. So you're going to take the verb, the prorogarent, immediately after the ut. He encouraged the doctors and asked them to prorogarent, to prolong. And then the object of that is vitam over here. Vitam hominis, the life of the man. So this is Velleius' life he's talking about. So he's only just started getting to know Velleius, and wants a little bit more of an opportunity to get in with him, so he knows that he'll get something in the will. Anyway, so he encouraged the doctors and asked them to prolong the life of the man, and then just this extra phrase here, quoquo modo, in whatever way sort of they could, understood, in whatever way, in any way. So he asked and encouraged them to, in any way, prolong the life of the man. Okay. Postquam signatum est testamentum mutat personam, vertit ad locutionem eistemque medicis. Okay, so postquam signatum est testamentum. So the testamentum is the subject here. So after the testamentum, the will, signatum est, passive verb, so was signed. So after the will was signed, and then a description of Regulus's actions here, mutat personam. Mutat, you know the English word to mutate, so mutat personam, he changes his character, he changes his personality. It's worth noting here that the verb has shifted into the present tense, and again that's about creating drama, creating a sort of vividness to the piece. We're caught up in what's happening because it's literally happening as we're reading it. He changes his character, he vertit ad locutionem. And verto means much the same thing here as mutat, so to change again, or to alter. You might just want a synonym in English. And he alters his manner of speech, his ad locutionem. Eistemque medicis, the quet obviously is just linking, and eistem comes from idem, so the same, it's just is-id with dem on the end, and little minor alterations to make it fit. So eistem, to the same doctors. And then you get a verb halfway through the speech over here. Inquit, he says. And what he says is quousque miserum cruciatis. So quousque is a word you won't have come across. It means something like how far. Okay. Yeah, I think that will do here. How long might be a possibility as well. So how far, and then the verb at the end, cruciatis. It's in the present tense, which makes it a little bit more tricky in English. It's much easier to imply in the future. So how far are you going to torture? You might have come across the Cruciatus curse in Harry Potter. So this is where it comes from. How far will you torture? And then the object of that is just the adjective here, miserum. You need to imply Velleius with it again. So how far are you going to torture? How far will you torture the wretched man, or this wretched man? So how far? For how long are you going to torture this wretched man? He asks the question. The change is obviously in that, only 2 lines ago in the passage he was trying to get them to maintain Velleius's life for as long as possible, but obviously that's only through self-interest. Now that the will has been signed, why would you keep him alive? He's obviously suffering, says Regulus. Kill him. Or at least let him die, I suppose, is the point. Cur invidatis bona morte. Cur, is why. Invideo means to envy or to begrudge somebody something, so to not want them to have it. So cur invidatis, why do you begrudge, with that tis on the end of it? Bona morte, it takes an ablative, and both bona and morte are in the ablative. So why do you begrudge a good death? You're going to need to imply something there, I think. Why do you begrudge him a good death? Or you can just run it straight into what follows. Why do you begrudge a good death? Cui, to him. To which man? Okay. So why do you begrudge a good death to him? Dare vitam non potestis. To whom you are not able, non potestis, dare, to give vitam, to give life. So if you can't help him, why don't you just let him die? Obviously this is a big about turn from what he was doing a minute ago. And then Pliny gives us the end of the story. Moritur Blisus. Blisus dies. Again, morior is a deponent verb, so that tur ending, it's not passive, but it is present. So Blisus dies. Again, we're back in the narrative again. Et tamquam omnia audi viset. And et, obviously, tamquam is used for creating sort of comparisons or similes, as if omnia audi viset, he had heard everything. The audi viset, the eset ending here is pluperfect, so as if he had heard everything, i.e. Blisus had heard everything. Regulo ne tantulum quidem. Regulo is dative, so to Regulus, and then ne tantulum quidem. I've given you a little note on it at the end here, but ne quidem together means not even. So to Regulus, not even tantulum, and then tantulum means the smallest amount. So to Regulus, not even the smallest amount. It's a fragment of a sentence. We need to imply the rest. Again, it's a stylistic thing. You don't need Pliny to spell it out to you, but you might want to put in your English translation a verb like he gave, or left maybe, because we're talking about a will. So Blisus dies, and as if he had heard everything, he left Regulus not even the smallest amount. I think that's it. I hope you've enjoyed the story of Regulus. Undoubtedly, we will look at it with you again in class at some point, but this, I hope, has given you a really good opportunity to get to know it well and to produce your own translation. Remember that you can look over the videos as many times as you like, obviously, and if there's anything that you read in your translation that you're not happy about, then you maybe need to go back and have another look, or send an email, and we will have a look for you. Okay, thanks very much. Bye-bye.